was the Metroid Prime same theme. Acapella version. Matt, take us away.
Hello and welcome to yet another Nintendo podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matt Schultz, and I've got my good pal here.
Oh, Austin Cummings on the line. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, this is yet another episode 2 of 2. That's the full set. No more past this point. Matt, what are we going to be talking about today?
So as everyone knows, we had yet another mini E3, is what we like to call them, because they really are. There are these awesome, just little miniature E3 packaged events that no other company gives us. Can you think of anything else you're a fan of that drops this many, like, video
nuggets? I'm definitely with you. And you know what, if our listeners have tuned into the previous episode, they will have gotten a full hour of our musings on it, which by just kind of examination of other YouTube channels with more or less subscribers, who's to say, it seems a full hour was quite a bit of content. So you're welcome for that, and also I'm sorry, maybe a bit too much,
especially like right around halfway through when Austin starts to echo a lot. But hopefully made it at least up into that point.
Mm-hmm. Had a good thing going until there.
Right. So what we're going to do today is go ahead and obviously chat about the Direct, kind of give our impressions, what we think, overall how it went, what we're really excited about, what we, are like meh about. But overall, I guess we'll kick it off with a... just the number one thing, right?
Right before we do that, I want to take one moment to, as we always begin the episode, we always take a moment to recognize our fans. And they're numerous, and so we just simply do not have time to go through all of them. But we would like to give a big shout out to our number one fan, which is literal, because it is our one fan. That'd be Kid Daniel the Dandy. Thanks so much for your comment and listening. For whatever reason, if you stumbled upon it, we are happy to have you, and please never leave.
Never. Don't go.
This is a personal pod to Russian bot Kid Daniel the JK. I'm sure he or she is very real and very nice and very dandy. Let's okay, Matt, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt there, but yeah, let's take it away with the Nintendo Direct. So it came 2 p.m. today, Pacific time, and really a whole
4 p.m. for some of us, actually.
Well, it's no need to fight about it. We know how to feel about daylight savings. That's been well chronicled, better than anything else, perhaps. And so the way the format was, started 3DS games, moved on to Switch, and so we want to do a little recap, talk about what we liked and disliked. But before we begin, Matt, I want to get like a gut impression from you. What would you say regarding the Nintendo Direct today? If you had to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is a Goomba and 10 is King Koopa, that's Bowser for all you less informed fans. What would you give it? So where
the
would
average
you rank
Nintendo fans? Probably close to a King Goomba. Probably like Bowser on his back being like flung around by Mario. Not quite as menacing.
Not quite there. But
he's not like in his prime.
Yeah, right, I get that. I would give it maybe like a Lakitu. It was kind of you're kind of perched up there observing, watching the fans and or the announcements, and then when it became dicey there at the end, it looked like there wasn't going to be a big announcement. I was still very happy. I was my anticipations were well satiated, but when it was looking a little bit more like we weren't going to get a huge announcement, there came Lakitu, just like picking up the cart on Mario Kart, dropping it right back on the track. Bringing it back
on track. You're ready to go.
Might cost you a couple coin. Might cost you $60 USD. Come later 2018. But really dropping a big megaton announcement at the end there, which was just thrilled to see. So I would say I was at about a Lakitu level today, and you were kind of a topsy-turvy Bowser, it sounds.
Yeah, the stage is
really
moving around.
Really bad. It's really hard to gauge.
Which is actually a great, I think that perfectly expresses what I'm feeling about it, because it was like I've gone back and forth. I thought it was overall like a great Direct. They had.
For sure. I mean, I would say this with the Directs, right? I mean, the expectations are always a bit tempered. I feel like, because, like you mentioned, we get so many of these that I feel some degree of like just having it at all is a treat, which I realize to some degree is a little less. That's a less objective review of the overall experience. But yeah, it's like, hey, it's just like our gold coins, It's like gold coin, it's a penny, but we're just happy to have it. I feel less so about those, but for this, it truly is. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get some, even if it's just 30 minutes of maybe indie titles that I'm familiar with on other platforms that are coming to Switch, but it's well presented and it's always snappy and well executed. That it's like that's still fun. It's hard for me to come away super objective about the Direct experience, since at the end of the day it is just a series of announcements of things with the express purpose of getting excited to buy them, which is always a fairly easy sell for myself, it seems. But I would agree with you though. There was going through most of it. It was hard to say was there going to be some huge announcement. We had talked a bit about we'll go over our predictions, and I felt like by the end of it I was surprised, and I think it's a cherry on top prediction for myself. I believe, let the record show, I'm not really sure actually, because I know I went back and forth on Metroid, but came away being like, you know what, this is one of the better ones in recent memory.
Right. So last episode, you and I discussed our predictions, and a couple of them we were not far from, and a couple of them we were way off. So, for example, I thought for sure what was going to show up would have been a Fire Emblem, anything on Fire Emblem. No. That did not show up. However, we did get a lot, and we'll go through it. But Fire Emblem was not shown, so I didn't get. I lost points for that, or
the scoring system was at best vague, so we won't worry too much about that. But yeah, let's go through it. So I think my two take it to the bank predictions were we're going to get an announcement for when Mario Tennis is going to be happening, the release date. I think I said pre-June, and it's the 22nd, I believe we landed on. Is that correct? It's late June, so
we got June 22nd, so not quite before E3 like I thought, but right. I was spot on about a tournament being involved, and it's not at E3, although I'm sure there will be one.
Right, and
there is going to be that online tournament for folks to download before they actually grab the game, which I'm totally going to get, and you and I should get on there.
Absolutely. And then something else I was thinking was, one of my other predictions was that there was going to be a major piece of paid DLC for a first-party title, and there was that one for Splatoon. And I will say, I found myself in a little bit of a weird spot as an observer and professional critic, and also enthusiast, because it's like I wanted them so badly to announce a price tag on the Splatoon DLC, because I was like, I want this prediction to be correct, and I'm also like, am I not just maybe dooming myself to pay what ended up being?
They did announce the price tag on it.
They did, but because everything else has been free, and I wanted to make good on my prediction, and then I did, and I was like, I nailed it, and I was like, ooh, 1999, come on, baby.
And that's what I had actually chatted about at the end. Remember, we were talking about like, okay, so in the future there's going to be this paid subscription service for the full year. So you're paying what, $20 for the year for this internet service. And my big critique was, okay, so you've got this great online first party title that you suddenly now need keep what's the reason to come back? And sure. I think this is, although maybe not, I don't know, I can't fully see how it's going to show it, but it is there. I mean, and especially since it's scheduled for the summer.
And the other elephant in the room, of course, is how is Smash going to interface with that? But we'll get to that in a bit. Let's keep cranking through in the interest of finishing this episode of the next, God forbid, 20-ish minutes. So let's go through kind of back and forth on game announcements. So start with our 3DS offerings. And I gotta say, overall, pretty impressive. Now, the 3DS games are definitely, and it's been this way for probably the past few months, really since Ultra Sun and Moon. So after Samus Returns on 3DS last, September, or whenever that ended up coming out, I would say overall, a lot of things are remakes or ports, which is still, I think, fairly exciting for 3DS owners, especially if they had missed those games, because they really are remaking a lot of games that come across a variety of platforms. So, for example, we're getting WarioWare Gold. I don't think we had maybe a ton of info, but similarly to the last Mario Party game that was on 3DS, it's like somewhat of a collection of favorites, right?
Yeah.
Am I interpreting that correctly? And so they have the same thing for the Mario Party 100 on 3DS, which is like, some of the best games collected in one space, not necessarily new, but still exciting. Same thing goes for Luigi's Mansion, the GameCube game. And okay, question for you, Matt. Did you play Dark Moon on 3DS?
Oh yeah, I love Dark Moon.
What would you say is better between the original and Dark Moon? Because now I've heard some controversial opinions, some hot takes on this one.
Okay, well, in my opinion, it's difficult to. It's difficult to think of them on the same plane, because one being a launch title for a brand new console had its own memories associated with it. Sure. However, I thought Dark Moon was way more fun.
It's way more substantial for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it has, because there's the variety of ghosts and things, ways in which to collect and expose
the different
them and chase them
mansions.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I'd say really no comparison. It'll be interesting to see this game because I feel like Luigi's Mansion, the original, was what, like 4 hours long, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. So here's my question, and I'm sure everyone's question. It's like, why not on Switch? Like, why take this great title? Like, why not put... I mean, I get it. Like, they probably have had this... This is probably slated for a while now to happen. But I just am like, oh, come on, put that on
so
Switch.
I think we know that wasn't January. I feel like it was like a record 30th, maybe Christmas in January was like a record time for 3DS sales. So I think they want to keep that console alive as much as possible, and this at least frees them, because I'm sure a lot of these games they can go to third party or perhaps less experienced teams within Nintendo to make these ports without having to make big creative decisions. They have to don't okay, because the other games are Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr. and that was, I think, Bowser's Inside Story, having played most of the Mario and Luigi games.
I played Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah, it definitely is the best one.
It's great.
Very cool that it's coming. Although I will say, same thing goes for the most recent iteration of Mario and Luigi, the Superstar Saga. It's like they have somewhat removed the sprite artwork and it's now replaced with like kind of 3D model renditions of the sprites.
Yeah,
I do feel like you lose a little something when Bowser is in the giant form, because I loved the way it looked with the giant sprite.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just not as charming. I was watching it over again today, and I'm like, it looks interesting.
I know that Game Explained did a good job with Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga to show back and forth, and you do lose, I think, some of what feels like a classic throwback style with the really wonderful and feels so Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance visuals. You lose some of that, but you do get kind of the presentation is overall more polished. There's a lot more particles going on, and the screen everything has a nice shine to it. It has some little quality of life improvements. The last game had the neat Bowser's Minion side missions that could be hopped into at any point, so it looks like they'll take that approach again, which is very cool. So we have that. We have Detective Pikachu, which you already knew about. And then Captain Toad Treasure Trackers. That is another game going to 3DS, which is going... I don't think we saw any footage.
No. That's coming to Switch.
No, it's coming to both.
Wait, Treasure Tracker?
I believe so. This is a scoop. I'm pretty sure that it is coming to both. I don't think they showed any footage from the 3DS one, but they made mention at the end. They're like, and you can also play this on 3DS.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like that.
Interesting. But, I mean, not surprising. They can definitely pull it off. They have... Super Mario Land, of course, is on 3DS and looks very similar to Mario World, which was the style.
Yeah,
which
3D Land, 3D World, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, good.
Awesome. So, and we already know about not Dylan's role in Western, but his third game.
Right. Have you played either of those Dylan games?
I played his role in Western, and then I kind of moved on from there. But it's kind of cool that they've kind of kept this IP up.
I'm very surprised the moxie on that to keep Dylan alive. That's a real effort, and that cannot be easy. Because I did play the game as well, but then my issue was I am, as longtime viewers of the show know, left-handed, and it made those few select games on 3DS that were very heavily stylus based. Same thing with like Metroid Prime Hunters back on DS. A challenge. It was really only playable for like Kid Icarus Uprising when that came out on 3DS. Kind of a much maligned game. We can talk about some other time. But a real challenging experience. I had to use like a 3DS boat to get that second analog stick, so then I could use my left hand. But it was just, that game was hard to play. Dylan's Rolling Western, at least when I played, did not have any real left-hand options, so I was like, oh, time to try like learning to write with my right hand, which did not make the strategy elements, the real-time strategy elements, favorable to my situation. So I still never quite jumped back on. It did look kind of neat, though. There is the new style of strategy going on. It looks like some grid-based stuff, and the character kind of has like a neat design. But it seems to be another Dylan game doomed to roll
on through.
Right.
So we got a lot of Nintendo Switch headlines, and I don't think we need to talk about all of them, but
here they all are.
But I mean, they really packed a lot into it. So I mean, I wrote down my favorites, and I was wondering like if you could just start us off. What of the Switch lineup really stuck out to you? Okay, aside from Smash, which we can get to.
Right, spoilers there. I mean, I would say this. The biggest thing is, I think biggest takeaway is that there's a lot of a lot of ports, which I think is, it's easy to forget for Nintendo's sake because they've especially had so many heavy hitters last year, but they only have so many studios making these games. And the big
half of our listeners didn't own a Wii U, so,
this is very true. The studies show. But it's like, so I think it is obviously wise for them to have a lot of these moves, like games, like the South Park game or Dark Souls, things like that are now coming to Switch, continually breathes life into Switch, which is great and can really buffer out the times in between, especially because we'll have Kirby here imminently, although I have some thoughts on Kirby and perhaps you and I will get a chance to talk about it.
We should talk about the demo next episode.
But that might not be a game that sets the world on fire per se, but so you need these other titles sprinkled in, the Wolfensteins and things of that nature. But I would say the big ones for me, now this is directly opposed to what I just said, I am excited for Okami because that is a game I really did love back on the PlayStation and then on the Wii.
I played on the Wii originally.
Loved the Wii. Loved that IGN watermark on the
on the box.
And that now let's do the IGN hot take while on the topic. Where do you fall on the great Okami versus Twilight Princess debate? Where does your allegiances lie? Keep in mind this is another Nintendo podcast, so I don't do this. But truly, where do you fall?
Gosh, I don't even. Twilight Princess.
So here's the thing. It's honestly very hard for me to remember because if I were to tell you maybe a year ago or so, I would actually say Okami. I think Okami brings. I love the style of that game and the look of all the ink print woodblock stuff.
What I can say is from growing up, Okami, I think I had the most memories of.
For sure.
There's so many visuals from that game and just moments where I don't know, I can recall them still sitting in my childhood bedroom.
Absolutely. But then my worry, here's my one worry. Now, because I've now passed it up on PS3 and PS4, two systems I really enjoy and play quite a bit of, in hopes of for the PS4 one being I hope it'll come to Switch. So I'm glad to have waited. Yeah. And we'll definitely play it. It's very cool. It also has the touchscreen stuff. That's awesome. That was what was so great about the Wii version, was the ability to use those when you had to do the woodblock stuff or the for the painting, to be able to use the pointer controls. It'll be much easier even with just use your finger. But I would say in reviewing as in revisiting Okami just through video or review, it does that game is very long and there's a lot of chatting, and that is my one concern. That's something I feel like I had a much better tolerance for back when I played it in early high school, and I worry now that it would not age quite as favorably, because that is even the first 3 hours of Twilight Princess are a little slow, just getting out of town.
But we get the Zelda fanboy pass usually. That's probably where my bias comes from.
Absolutely. You're just thankful it came out and to be in the world. Whereas, but that said, I think Okami has significantly more talking. Both Okami and Twilight Princess are games that are about 20 hours too long each, but still good. So I'm very excited for that. That's high on my list. I'm also very excited for No More Heroes. I love No More Heroes 1 and No More Heroes 2.
So this is a game I've actually never played but knew a lot about. So
this was definitely one of those titles that stood out at the time because it was a mature game on the Wii. But it's it has a really phenomenal sense of style and music and clothing, and the whole premise of being the kind of otaku character who gets a lightsaber off of an eBay equivalent and then decides to hunt assassins as he's just going to do it without really a huge personal motivation is so fun, and the game really relishes that in that each boss character, and this game appears to keep up that tradition but is a totally over the top, almost Metal Gear-esque villain, though they're rarely taken down with any type of real strategy. The characters are just, each one is a caricature of either a western or a ninja character, or there's each character is larger than life, and then it does make the whole villain assassin hunting thing very interesting. I'm excited for this one. This one is a little different though. It looks like it takes place across 7 different mini games, more or less, that you play for. Looks like more of a top-down perspective. The last game was over the shoulder, and part of the fun of that was when you finish these very simple combos, you would move the Wiimote and nunchuck to perform a finishing move, either a big slash, or you could grab them and do a WWE move, moving the nunchuck and Wiimote to one side, which was it kind of added to that visceral nature of slicing through a character and whatnot. And this game, because it's a little more removed, seems to take a different approach, but I'm still excited to see the character, and hopefully people will express enough interest to keep the series going. I'm excited that it exists. Those would be the main two. If I can choose one more that I'm excited for out of the things that were announced. I know we're not counting Smash. I am excited for Dark Souls, and I've talked about this before, but I have not played Dark Souls. A shame of mine. I played Neo on PS4, but for the most part, that genre of game I've missed. But nowadays, I'm playing fewer games often, and so it's fun to have a game that feels like it challenges you or pushes against you, and you want to overcome. And so I'm looking forward to playing that on the go. I thought it was neat that it is going to be Amiibo. Like, to me, someone who is only really their awareness of Dark Souls comes from like encountering it on Reddit and whatnot. And I'm familiar with the pose. The character doesn't like jump out at me, but it is neat that it gives it like its own little flair that kind of emphasizes the Switch version, which is a nice little touch because it is the remaster coming out.
That was fun to see.
As well.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see extra attention on the Nintendo side. Also, the fact they're going to get the demo, kind of like the test punch.
The network testing.
Test, which is very cool and shows a degree of confidence in making it work. So I'm definitely excited for that. What are your top 3?
Okay, so not including the Nintendo first party stuff, as well as Kirby. But because obviously those I think would take the cake for me. Even though Nintendo or Captain Toad kind of falls in that, my favorite things from this Direct have to be the Octopath Traveler reveal. A little bit more details on that. Plus,
did we get a date on
that? We did, July 13th, and. Yeah, so there's actually a lot of summer stuff. June and July is going to be packed with Nintendo goodness, as it should be, because it's E3 and it's summer and we're all out of school.
Yeah,
even though
baby, school's out.
Can't wait.
All of us, work is done.
Adulting is fun. And then I'm actually super excited for South Park. This is a game I grew up watching South Park, not so much like in the past maybe couple of years.
I wonder how it'll be going back to it a little bit, because I do agree. But continue.
Right. So like I'm really I remember looking into it and being like, wow, okay, this is interesting. Like where they're really kind of going in on this game, and apparently like there's so much depth to the battle system, and just like there's tons of really good writing, and it looks like you're playing an episode.
Yeah, I played the first one, Stick of Truth, and it was great. I mean, I did enjoy it, and this is coming as someone who is my knowledge of South Park is I'm not like a diehard fan or anything, and I've
like average.
Like most of the key episodes that maybe before the game had come out, Ben knew most of the bits are being referenced, but really did enjoy it. It does feel like you were living in it, and from all accounts, the second game is a better refinement of the first, which was a little bit of a clunky game running. But
and you played just Stick
of Truth, but not the fractured
but whole.
Right, of course.
I love when Nintendo says that, by the way. It's just they're
doing all they can also to avoid it. It's like really trying to de-emphasize the combination of those words. But I also love that it's on there, and they're willing to do it, and it doesn't have some type of like, South Park Nintendo edition or like Nintendo Switch edition, because I would not have been surprised to see Nintendo maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago trying to do something to get a little further away from that, but they're going for it. I do like that.
So
that's a perfect fit on the Switch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what I'm going to love about it is kind of just diving into it every night before bed, maybe, So yeah, those are my 2 takeaways. The one thing that I was very interested in, but not necessarily like my standout favorite, was the Never Fear Little Nightmares. Right. Almost here. Like it's like I don't know. That's the art in that game just like creeped me out in a way that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to play.
You do kind of want to get in their experience. Like the two different campaigns with like the 2 forlorn looking children and like the kind of Tim Burton-esque or
so like adults in that game, right? So, anyways, so that kind of rounds up what I was thinking about. What kind of stood out to me that wasn't a major AAA title from Nintendo. Let's talk about the major ones then.
The first of which was Splatoon, which they kind of faked us out was going to be the last one, and then we got the delicious One More Thing, very E3 of them. What did you think, first of all, of the trailer or the way in which it was announced? Because I will say I did enjoy it. You and I both love Splatoon. I have my Callie Marie amiibo nearby, really at all times, and I've already ordered, of course, Pearl. And
I've got my Callie. I do not have Marie. She's at a friend's house. We got them together.
Wasn't that part of the lore was the inverse of that, right? Marie is like in Splatoon 2, the recurrent character in Callie's way. In any event, I of course liked the trailer. I have found each time they've done like the squid research facility or whatever it is, like in the previous Nintendo Directs too, like very painful. And I do wish, I'm not someone that especially for Nintendo stuff or things that are more geared towards the younger audience, I for the most part can bear it without feeling like too awk. I did say walking down that like subway station to the, was it not get frosty? What were they saying? It was not stay fresh. It was like a spin on it, a little twist on it.
I don't know. I wasn't paying good close attention. I was trying to just turn my eyes away from Captain Cuttlefish, staring at the the Octoling scantily dressed and walking down the subway.
The implications were very upsetting. And it was just so very long. It was like, oh man, I gotta maybe cut this down. I will say this. So overall, what was announced was that DLC that's going to come out, I believe, this summer. It's nice.
Right, it's $20.
Right, you can pre-order it
get some cool equipment now, right?
Really
you get the headphones.
The reward for it is awesome because you get to be Octolings, and then in multiplayer if you complete the campaign, which is so cool because currently in Splatoon the campaign is very good, but there is very little incentive to finish it, especially if you're an online player, because you don't really get anything.
I mean, aside from tickets, you get more tickets, but you can get plenty of those in Salmon Run, which is way more fun.
And you don't even there isn't any good identifier for even a special hat.
Although if you're listening to this right now and you have not played single player Splatoon, either the first one or the second one, they are awesome. They're so fun.
They're, in many respects, kind of the secret Mario, Super Mario Galaxy we haven't gotten in a while. These fun, very geometric, colorful shapes in space in which you platform across and use all these fun tricks.
The bosses are great. Yeah.
The bosses are awesome. Yeah, so so I did talk earlier about I hope there's a price attached to it because I want to get my prediction right, and then there's a price attached to it. I was like, ooh, I would. So I've been thinking about this. I was talking also to a friend about it earlier, but it was I will say that for $19.99, on one hand, it's okay, Splatoon 2 has given tons of free content, so $19.99 is very warranted to some degree. It's constantly getting updates.
Right, you're
it's only grown, and I feel
we're complaining, but we've gotten so many things.
Out of the gate, I feel it does come out as a fairly complete package, and so it's not really a fair critique. On the other hand, though, I will say that I really enjoyed the single player, but I felt it was sufficiently long in Splatoon 2. And challenging.
It was.
And by the time I got all the secrets at the end, I felt okay, I did it, and I was kind of excited to have wrapped it up. I wasn't
you bought the game to play online, and with your friends, and the single player was more than substantial.
Right.
But so when I heard about, or when I was watching it, I was thinking wow, I'm surprised they didn't save this for 3, to come out in a couple of years, 2 years, and so. I mean, I'm great. I'm thankful. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, I think wonder if any aspect of it is the fact that 1 and 2 did come out fairly close together. Splatoon 2 felt especially when it was announced, everyone's is it just kind of an expansion of Splatoon 1?
Well, there's still people out there who are, oh, it's a port from the Switch,
for
kind
sure.
of.
And I think by and large people moved away from that when they started playing it. But it is true the game is similar, partly because Splatoon doesn't have a huge number of customization options. It does it definitely in clothing,
although it's getting more.
But it's getting
clothing. The spring line is here.
It sure is. Thank God. Do you suspect you'll pick it up, or what are you feeling?
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm probably going to throw down the $20 today, just to get the gear, and then to be pleasantly surprised in July when I'm oh yeah, I already paid for this.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
No, of course. I Splatoon is probably the game next to Zelda I pour most of my hours into right now, and. It's warranted. And I love the single player mode, so this is going to be great. Yeah. And I have to say, the Octolings they look cuter. They're cuter than.
I'm very into them, and I have always felt myself I'm kind of I'm a Zora guy. We all know that. I got my little Mifa under there.
I was gonna say
at all. And so it's
I've got Garut over here. Right. He's my boy.
Not bad. Because Princess Rudo back in Ocarina of Time, I always felt somewhat affectionate towards her, and I can't really explain it. I've been kind of trying to parse through that for the past few years.
We got to go into this in another podcast because now there's a whole little love triangle there in this one,
and the kind of this recent outside of the game realm, but of course Shape of Water kind of gender bended that whole attraction that I hold, but I felt it all the same. So it's really raised a lot of questions, and I feel these Octolings fall right in line with my curiosity for them. But but I will agree, it was like they do look fun and they have their own little personality. I think the character design in Splatoon is so good, and I love all of there aren't really that many characters because the story is really you're getting just calm information, and then there's the bosses. But it is fun when you're in Incopolis and you have all of the little vendors that have the various little, details on their for whatever ware they're selling. This feels right in line with that, so I do love that, and I more than likely will pick it up.
There's so much that they're talking about, or Nintendo is hitting at about like, oh, there's so much more lore to the story than you know.
Exactly, yeah. It's
and I'm like, yes.
Oh, they know I like that lore.
Because my favorite part of the single player.
Yes, exactly. Discovering what.
I'm like, I cannot end this map until I find that file.
Crazy 80 some odd subway.
That scroll.
Like the
subway map. There's I mean, and there should be $20 is. I mean, that's a beefy game. You know?
Yeah, I know. I would agree. That's the thing that made me a little curious about the announcement. It's like how warranted will it be? But I have faith, and I'm looking forward to playing it. And it was interesting also to see the Octoling pull up the little positioning device that was very like Metal Gear Solid 5, where she pulls it up and there's like the hologram of the subway route. Interesting to see how that will actually play into it. It was
very cool. It just was a very different take on Splatoon, and it just kind of shows how versatile this IP really is for them. Right. And I will say this before we move on.
It's a real Dylan rolling western for them.
I think that all the videos and promos or sneak peeks or the little clips that they've put together at Nintendo, I think it's just kind of a direct reflection of the young staff that they have working on the game and the their quirkiness. I mean, you could tell how quirky they are in general, and I think that's just very much there in these this very long overdrawn video of the Octoling walking through the subway.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the guy in the lab coat, and he's like, "Welcome to the fish, whatever, Squid Research Institute. We have new research." And you're like, "Okay."
And he started over again. You're like, "Okay, we've already seen all this stuff."
I know. It's so I love how early we never even talked about it, an extended look at Mario Tennis, and it's maybe half as long as that intro sequence for Splatoon 2.
Right.
But I will say Mario Tennis back really before.
Yeah, let's go to Aces. Let's chat about it.
I mean, it looks really good. I know one of the complaints levied against, which I did not actually play, the Wii U version of Mario Tennis, was that one of them is there's the super moves that were kind of one shot wins for whatever set you were in or however it worked. But this one at least gives you the option to do the countering, which is kind of fun and interesting, and slow motion, which is cool as well. The game also looks gorgeous. I love seeing all the characters with the visors. Is so fun too, with the exposed hair and all that stuff.
Also, I don't know if you've seen. There's a couple of great images out there on the interwebs of Waluigi's got this great pose with a flower. But the opposite of that is Wario. Just kind of, it looks like your uncle trying to fit back into a polo that he doesn't quite fit into, and he's on a Sunday.
He's dug out from the box during the move, and he's like, I gotta put this thing get a few
and it's
miles
just a
on
little
this.
too tight on him, and you can they did not shy away from giving him some rolls.
Good, yes, no, they're
because in some other games he's very strong. He's got muscles are bulging out of his shirt,
out of his WarioWare outfit, and then he has the garlic, and he turns into a super version of that, and only further runs away with that. But yes, that's funny. I do think there's a really wonderful design for all those characters, and it kind of exudes their personality. While Luigi's truly never looked hotter, and that also raises a whole set of questions. Let's go on, though, briefly now onto Smash as we round out here. We're coming up on looks like about 30.
The one more thing announcement.
Okay, let's take a quick question before we get into it.
Sure.
Smash 5 or Smash 4? What do we think?
Smash 5. It's the on their official website, they've got in parentheses a working title, and that, of course, that can mean Smash 4 Deluxe. But
right.
I mean, it's very clear that Breath of the Wild Link is in there. He had his little locks floating
Right, and
floating
by
in
and large,
the
they're
flames.
Yeah, there's only. I mean, there are characters for sure, and in the Wii U version that have alternate costumes that are dramatically different. There's male and female Corrin and Robin though, and Bayonetta is very different, and Cloud, and all those characters. Most of those I just listed are DLC. All dramatically different looking, but I'm with you.
I think it's been enough time. I think there's been enough time between
It will
between
be
now
about
and
4
then.
years by the time it comes out this fall.
And I don't know how long it takes to make a Smash game, but I imagine this is going to be a brand new.
Right. I imagine it's brutal because we've all, I'm sure, heard or read the horror stories of Sakurai, like developing terrible, like carpal tunnel and whatnot, trying to like power out and finish Melee and whatnot. But I would say, and knowing absolutely nothing in game design, it must be easier for them to make this game, even if it began
the assets that they have
all
now.
the assets are in HD, right?
Yeah.
They already have that roster of over 50 characters, and I have to think, because for them it probably doesn't matter. Everyone is picking up. If this game even is Smash 4 or 5, no one truly cares. We're just wondering, is there going to be more different than we're expecting? But if it's just 4, I'm confident everyone's still going to buy it.
Everyone, we're all in for it. But I definitely do feel like this is going to be the next Smash. I think they're really trying to, like, it's. I get porting it, but I just think they're far off along.
The other thing that kind of adds to that is you mentioned the press release or the working title, and the press release they announced was very Nintendo. It's not a script, but I feel like they are wise enough at this point to acknowledge that if it's going to be a port, they need to say it.
They should have said it. Yeah,
right.
They definitely should have said something then.
Right. Exactly. And I'm sure the trailer, besides Breath of the Wild Link, does seem like it could just be an extra character for Smash for Wii U. Or 3DS,
oh yeah,
right?
that was straight out of 4 years ago.
Kirby coming in with the Kirby Air Ride 2 tease feeling, or things like that, or Mega Man, so the really sweet. One with the cliffs and the Bowser Jr. and everything, like those right out of that, and
the Inklings splash onto the scene.
But because there's because Breath of the Wild Link is in there, and the fact they did not go out of their way to say like Smash for Switch, which would have been the recognition. Like, if anything, now they've only posed themselves to have more expectations that it's a brand new game when E3 rolls around, and so I think they must know.
Here's what I think is actually very interesting about the title, or about the trailer, was that they showed the 3 games. They showed the 3 IP that are running the Switch right now, for them, between Splatoon, Breath of the Wild, and Mario Odyssey. They had those moments with Mario and Link, and obviously you could see the silhouette of the other characters back there, but I just was like, that's really interesting that they are. I mean, the Inklings are going to be. They should be introduced. It's going to be great. But I just thought that was really unique in that moment. I'm like, these are they're the first characters to take this new console into this new era, and here they are in the first Smash trailer we're getting.
Right.
So that was fun.
Agree. That's a good read on it. But I'm with you. I think I'm leaning towards Smash 5 too. Right as it finished. At least right as it introduced, I suspected 4. I think 5 now. And I think, E3 will definitely be the time. And I think it's important people keep their expectations kind of in check, because we do get these peppered Nintendo Directs for the most part. E3s of years past, although that has been where they've announced, like, Splatoon 1, Metroid Prime 4 last year. Like, they don't tend to drop megaton announcements. They're not super far flung in the future, looking. They tend to be overall, bigger than what we got today, but not crazy. They're not that long. How long even was the one last year at E3? I want to say 30-ish minutes. It was short. I
was going to say, if we're going to close that, I wanted to ask you one thing.
Oh, here we go. The one more thing of another Nintendo
The one
podcast.
more thing. I mean, there you go. I miss Jackie Chan Adventures. That was a great show.
That is a great show. I feel
so.
Go ahead.
We've got 2 IP, big Nintendo IP, in Mario Aces and Smash Brothers. Aces is coming out in June. Smash Bros. If it comes out in 2018, because who knows if that's really. I mean, Nintendo's thrown a lot of dates at us in the past.
But so far for the Switch, we have not missed any release date. Everything has hit their mark. Correct? Has anything been delayed?
Not including Breath of the Wild, yes.
But I'm saying from March 3rd, 2017.
Right.
I don't think anything's been
exactly.
delayed. Like Mario made it. Xenoblade even made it.
The fact that Odyssey made it,
Yeah, so far they've managed to hit all those.
So with that, that's probably going to be in November, just like it's been in the past. So that's a lot of room for E3 to fill in that gap. And so, we've got the Zelda, we've got Mario, we've got Splatoon, Kirby is here, Mario Kart, for better or worse, right now is here. I'm sure there'll be another Mario Kart in the future, which will be fantastic. But now this is Smash Brothers and a big sports title. Do you see something else to fill the summer that's kind of like on par? Like, what's going to carry them into the fall? That's not really Smash.
And I think everything they're going to see carry, we've already been introduced to. That's my prediction. So if you look at last year in 2017 in March, right, we had, of course, Breath of the Wild, and then not long after, I want to say April or May, there was ARMS and Mario Kart, right? Those off the bat. But then also we had Street Fighter 2 re-released. We had, because they had a game a month. There was a month in there, maybe September, which was the remake of Pokken. There were August had Rage, which is great, but there were there was a couple heavy hitters, then a pause. Heavy hitters with Odyssey and then Xenoblade in the winter and fall and winter. That was awesome, but then kind of now there hasn't really been any big game now until Kirby, but even that's like a little lighter. So I would guess they're going to rely on the games that have already been announced. If you just even took every game, if every game hit their mark that was announced or talked about today, I feel like June and July would be especially busy, considering you also have Octopath Traveler in there. You have tennis.
Right. Don't you think there's a big game missing from July through November? There's got to be like an October release or something that that Mario Odyssey gap from from this last year. Like I have to imagine there's something they got to announce at E3 that's still 2018
it's
bound.
A good question. Or is the answer like things like Splatoon and they're just going to try and re-inject more content into existing games? Are we going to get like a Mario Odyssey Delfino world, or are we going to get that type of thing by the time we approach,
are we gonna get
August? Are we gonna something like that?
Mario Sunshine HD on Switch, right? Maybe a port. Or they're gonna write out their they're gonna really blow out the virtual console, and that'll just carry us through the fall. But
any minute now, I think that's definitely 3. And then there is Pokemon, which was not there today. And I suspect that tends to be.
But you suspect their E3 floor is going to be like all kinds of Smash stuff now. I mean, they've done what they needed to do.
I think when we saw the E3 plans released just a couple weeks ago, as far as like the floor plan, I think the consensus was it was similarly large this year.
Yeah, in terms of one big showroom for
last year. So they're whether or not they do like the big single game focus like they did with Breath of the Wild, I would doubt, but I would imagine it'll be things like Smash, the DLC content. That's going to be mainly the stuff they try to get a little mileage on before we get into the fall.
All right, well, we should definitely revisit this conversation, but I think that about wraps up.
I think that's 45 minutes of just really strong opinions, and I think we have.
I'm excited. For these games. I'm looking forward to playing on the Switch. Still no information on Wargroove. I'm looking at you, Chucklefish.
What is that Wargroove shaming? We got Dylan's Rolling Western out there with that pseudo strategy. Where's our groove on a little bit? That's the other thing that is good to remember, because things not featured in this also, like Labo, no appearance.
Right.
And that comes up
420
shortly. 420, baby. Don't things have. I think there are enough. Like, we also know Diablo 3 was kind of pseudo confirmed the other day. That had no presence. I thought that was actually going to be the one more thing, just like, which would have been lame, but just like Dark Souls had been for the last one. So I was glad to see it wasn't. But I think there are those other games that are a little lower on the radar that are still coming out.
Right. Well, hey, if you're listening and you're enjoying this at all, we're happy you're enjoying it. If at all,
hop on Patreon, $15 an episode, and we'll send you an email and thank you for it. Send us some.
Yeah, we'll give you a shout out.
Right. We'd be happy to say your name or maybe your favorite game, or really anything. We'd say anything at all.
Anything you want us to, even butthole.
You can reach out to reach dozens of people annually, and so if that appeals, find us on Venmo. Send me an eggplant emoji. You know the drill.
Yeah, we got this. And don't set it to private either.
I need people to see this and then make some type of explicit, like, so happy about the very good podcast, the very engaging 45-minute podcast. Listen, we're still kind of finding our sea legs on this, our cyber legs, and we're gonna get there. And we appreciate if you've made it this far into the show. We really applaud you, and we hope you're having a nice sleep. And we hope when you wake up, you don't wake up to like a Bud Light ad or some other type of Google ad space thing hits you. And if you just kind of stumbled upon us, and you enjoyed what you heard, you know what? Tell a friend.
Tell your buddies. I mean, if you, I don't know, like, just give us a shout out, post our link somewhere.
Right.
But this is something we're just trying to do for fun, and we really enjoy talking about Nintendo. We hope you enjoy listening.
Jobs, and we're doing this 100%.
Right.
So no pressure on you, but you're our only hope. Please make it happen. Looking forward to you next week. So I think we need 1,000 views or whatever to get Google ads. How does that even work? Not sure.
Not sure how that works.
Yeah, I haven't got my check yet. Do they know?
Goals.
Is it direct deposit, or do they just? Is it going to show up in the mail sometime soon? I'm not really sure how they cut that one for me.
2018 is the year of the Octo. So if we can get 8 subscribers, that would be fantastic.
I did love when they said the Octo. They're like, as you all know, Octo is 8, and it is 2018. You're like, wait a minute. Nice try. Octo is not 18, guys. I did love that, the year of the Octo. And can we just have a podcast on year of the Luigi? When are we going to talk about that? If anything, I guess
I have great stories from that year, actually.
Right. Yera became a man. I will say, like, though, the year of Luigi, in some ways we're revisiting now, because in that year we, correct me if I'm wrong, got Dark Moon, and now here we are again getting the next Luigi's Mansion iteration, which is to say the first one again.
The first one, yeah.
As an olive branch to those owners, but love 3DS. Okay, well, very good. Matt, should we take it away? Should we get out of here one more time with the Metroid Prime loading room?
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.